How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to the Sleepy Hearth. And today, I have a video request. A Hearthstone Beginner's Guide. Some of you are probably very familiar with the game, while others may not be as familiar. As the channel grows over time, it's gonna not have so much Hearthstone content as it will other things, as you've seen with things like Overwatch and other videos. So it kind of makes sense that not everybody would know. But I'm glad that you're interested in. I will do my best to be your guide today. Now, some of the things might come painfully obvious, and I say painfully. For example, it's like, these are classes you can play. Click on one to play it. I won't go that far, hopefully, but we're gonna delve into the basics of the basics. I don't really know how far to go with it, but we're gonna go through deck construction as well as playing an actual game with the deck to see where it goes. So let us rickroll right on in here. So one of my favorite classes to play, as evidenced by how often I usually play it, is going to be Paladin. So just go ahead and pick that. Usually you want to stick to what style suits you the most, but you usually don't know what that is until you played it. So you kind of grow with it over time. You kind of gather what themes there are. So as you can see, there are different numbers down here. These indicate the cost of the card. So all these cards will cost 1 mana, and in any given game, every turn, or at the beginning of the game, players start with 1 mana, and every turn it accrues up to a maximum of 10. And after 10, well, you just stick around, you just have your 10 that you could use every turn. So if you've ever played Magic the Gathering, it's kind of like putting down 1 mana per turn that you could use. And that's kind of where the similarity ends, I guess, because to be fair, I never really played too much Magic. So you can see cards that cost 1 don't really have a lot to them. They're kind of weak, but they're cheap. You know, it's something that you can throw out early on to have something, or if you want to be able to put a whole bunch of something out in one turn, you can do one of them. As things get more expensive, their effects and their health go up, but their costs do as well. So you don't want to fill your deck with too many expensive cards, because say if I had a Tyrian Forging and a Guardian Kings, I wouldn't be able to play them on the same turn, because that would be way too much. That would be 15 mana, and I don't think there's any situation where you can get that much. I'm sure someone could find one, but it would be the most exceptional thing in the world. So you gotta build that deck with all that in mind. So let's go back. I usually like to build decks starting with the lowest cards cost, or lowest cost cards first. Okay, the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pick your theme. Now you might not know what that means, or even what you want to do. Sometimes I'll go into a deck and I'll just be like, I want to build a card or a deck around Murlocs. So I'll get all the good Murloc cards. Or I want to build a deck around Divine Shield. Or I want to build a deck around Secrets. So those are the 3 typical Paladin things. I do apologize if you hear these sounds. The wind's getting kind of windy outside. So we'll have that joining us. Today, even though I already have the deck, we're actually going to we're going to revisit an old favorite. We're going to go back and try to make the Buff Pally once again. Make Buff Pally great again. So I've kind of done them in Murloc, but I feel like we can go deeper. So, and the next thing you're going to want to pay attention to is what some of the cards have. Blessing of Wisdom is nice, because I choose a minion. Whenever it attacks, draw a card. And you can either apply that to your own minion, or you can even apply it to an enemy minion. So you're making them make the choice. If they want to attack, then they're going to give you a card for it. Or if you want one of yours to attack, it'll give you a card. Okay. Next we'll put in Divine Strength. This is a spell card. Spells are very handy, because even though it is not a minion, it is something. Say if I have a Grimskill Chum out there, and he's a 1 mana 2/1, but I have an extra mana left over. I can boost him up with the Divine Strength, making him stronger, and able to stay out on the field, and able to do more stuff, do his job a lot better, so to speak. But we're not going to add Green Skull Chunk because we're not going to make this a Murloc focus deck. But we'll keep the Divine Strength. I think also for now, I'll toss in a Blessing on Might, but I might change my mind. And a Forbidden Healing, because why not? Okay. I'm not going to use any of these cards because they don't fit what I'm trying to do. I might put in Redemption. Actually, for now we will. I'm going to stick that out later. Noble Sacrifice is definitely a good one. That adds a bit of protection. So a Secret's going to activate when an opponent does something. For example, when your opponent attacks, and it doesn't matter who they're attacking, it's going to summon Audio to defend it. It could either be you or another one of your minions. And it's going to rush to the defense of it. So we're going to skip the rest of these. Give us our Smuggler's Run. Just give all the minions in your hand 1/1. That's very good. And we'll even throw in Graham Straight Outfitter, which is a minion that does the same thing as Smuggler's Run. Okay. Divine Favor is one of my favorite card draws in the game. If you have an opponent that has a ton of cards in their hand, this is going to give you as many cards as they have. So if, say, you're down to like 2 cards, and then you play this, technically you'd be then down to 1 card, and if they have 5 cards, you're going to get to draw 4. It's a good deal. 3 mana for drawing 4. It's amazing. And that's another thing you're going to pick up on me saying, is the cost versus what you get out of it, and that's called the value. So what you're looking for is maximum value, but the problem is, the mistakes I tend to make a lot is my situational awareness. I'm always trying to maximize my value, but sometimes the situation doesn't call for that. Sometimes desperate times call for desperate measures, and you'll see what I'm talking about later. Okay. So we got all that. I'm going to skip Seal of Champions for now. I might come back to that. We'll do a Steward of Darkshire, and we'll do a Sword of Justice, and a Blessing of Kings. The only thing I get kind of nervous about putting all these spells in is it'll make both Grand Street Outfitter and where's the other one? Smuggler's Run, because the more spells I have, the less minions I have for these to give their proper buffs. That's kind of the thing I worry about, to be honest. So I don't want to put in another spell. But Consecration's really, really handy. Keeper of Oldbon, we're going to at least do 1. Murloc Knight is good enough to throw in there. Silverman Portal has always come in handy at the oddest of times. We're going to throw in an Ivory Knight because it's going to give us both health. This one's going to give us health restoration as well as a spell, which is pretty decent value. And that'll be my second healing card. So you're going to want damage. Key thing is you're going to kind of want a nice balance of things, unless the theme calls for otherwise. As you want decent amounts of healing, you want decent amounts of card draw, you want decent amounts of pretty much everything. This is a fairly well balanced deck. I sometimes opt in for Tyrian Forging, but I think I'm gonna lay off that for now. Okay. Another thing we have to do is we actually just convert this to wild, because that's how Buff Pally works. So we're actually missing a couple spells here. I need Coghammer. And what else do I need? I usually put in 2 Sword of Justices, but we're gonna keep those up for now. And I think we've run through everything you have. So there we go. I'm kind of tempted to put the Angry Chicken back in. It's been a long time since I've tried running Angry Chicken, to be honest. I think that'd be kind of hilarious. We'll give it a go. That's what we call experimentation, because that was not part of my original formula. We will throw in a Dragon Egg, but that is not the primary source of good stuff. Not this time. What else do we want? Where did it go? I know I'm coming up on it. Echoing Ooze was a huge part of the deal. This one, you summon an exact copy of the minion, so if this thing is buffed up, it's going to summon out another buffed up one. And that's why it's amazing. Okay. The other thing I'm looking for, there we go, Ruby Egg. So when this dies, it activates its Death Rattle effect. And Death Rattle only activates when something dies, unless certain cards say otherwise, because certain cards will allow you to activate Death Rattle early, but that's very rare. So this one's going to summon out a 4/4, but if we buff up the egg will get buffed up, and when it dies, it'll get to summon a minion. So it's extra, and let me hear you say it, value. And that's why I love the buff Pally deck, because it's all about value. Problem is the way the meta of the game, which is, the meta is essentially how do you say it? Usually what you're going to see when you run into the playlist, like the most common decks played is the meta. So like when you come across a ton of the same deck over and over again, that'll be the problem. Okay. Blubber Baron's almost... I almost want to do it, but I don't know if I really want to. I'm going to wait on him for now. Okay. Hobgoblin looks like it's good, but it's really not. And the reason I'm taking so long is because I forget exactly what I put in the deck before. I do technically have a deck list for it, but I don't feel like going through. And over time, you're gonna see cards that you know you don't want to put in. So that's why I'm not examining each one as fervently as I would per se. I did have an Arcano Smith in before, but I don't think I'm going to do it now. And I know I had Barnes, but is Barnes? It's a tough call. I might do Barnes, I might not. To be honest, I don't know. Cyclopean Hoarder is okay. I might do that. But then again, that requires a lot of minions to be on the field, so I think I'll leave that alone. Handsome Mechanic could be kind of fun. Face of Scrambler. That's the one I want. There we go. That's also a new experiment into the deck. We haven't tried before, so that's 2 experimental cards. I know I'm getting crazy. Alright. Anything else that we're coming up on? Not 100% sure. Azure Drake's usually a good card, just in any deck. Or it was. I don't know about nowadays. Gotta choose wisely here. Now that we're getting to the more expensive things. If you're gonna have a high cost card, you're gonna want it to be as best as it can be. It's gonna make the most sense. Like Don Honcho, because it gives something in my hand, +5/+5. We might be able to fit in one more. Not 100% sure, but we're gonna give it a shot. Nope, looks like that's it. Okay. We still need 3 cards. That is, without a doubt, Moat Lurker. Moat Lurker could be fun. I think oddly enough I might have too many spells this time around. So I have a lot. Could you catch a Stand Auctioneer? A lot of spells. That's too experimental. He'd probably do that really quick, to be honest. This is a tough call. trying to remember what else I used to have in Buff Pally. Let's go back here real quick. Put another dragon egg in there. And we'll go back to the Paladin cards. I could do Getaway Coda, but I kind of want another minion, to be honest. Mainstream Marshal might be a good one. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, we already have so many one-cost cards. That would be a bad idea. So we're not going to do that. That's another thing, is you're going to look at this mana curve here. You can see how everything has a breakdown. So you'd be like, oh man, I got too many of one thing going on. It'll let you know. In fact, before I used to have tons of 3s and 4s. Now I have barely any. So I'll tell you what. What I really might need is Acolyte Pain. That might be too much card draw. But we're going to find out. Okay. I mean, this deck might not even work. I'll tell you what. The other thing we're going to throw in is Arcanosmith. There we go. I put the question mark in there because I don't know if it's going to be any good. So, alright. We have built a deck. And if you have any questions, definitely leave them in the comments. And anybody who is more familiar with Hearthstone, please do leave a comment below saying if I left out anything vastly important, but don't get too complicated. This is just the beginner's guide. You don't want to lay out all the advanced stuff. Alright, so a hunter might be a bad opponent. And I say that because they tend to be very aggressive. Oh, I actually have the wrong deck. This is not the correct deck. Okay, so he just got a free win. Luckily we're so low rank right now, because I haven't actually been playing this month. Okay. There we go. That's the one. Also, if I do remember to do it, if you're genuinely interested, there's a Hearthstone player by the name of Trump. No, not Donald. He's not President Trump's not playing Hearthstone, but there is a YouTuber / streamer called Trump who goes in depth with a good beginner's guide. That's helped me out a lot. Okay, so now we're looking at the opening hand. So what we see here are some things. This is too high cost, and that's too high cost. Generally you want low cost to have a good opener, unless you're looking for something very specific. So that's not going to do it. I only tossed out 2 cards. I should have tossed out that Blessing of Might, or even the Blessing of Wisdom. It's funny. A third of my deck is stacked with 1s, and these are the 2 that I get. Okay. So since I'm going second, I get the coin. And that's just to make up for the fact that he's going to start with 1 mana, and then I'm going to start with 1, then he's going to get 2, and then I'm going to get 2. So it's like being a turn behind, kind of a thing. Okay. So I don't really have anything to do yet, because I technically have cards I can play, but I don't want to play them. The reason I don't use my Blessing of Wisdom on him right now is because the likelihood of actually attacking with it is very small. So I don't want to mess that up. I think, however, though, I will put Blessing on him, because he is likely to attack. So at the exchange of him doing 3 damage to me, I'm going to draw a card. We'll see how likely he is to do that. Very likely. So there we go. Okay. So now I have some options here. To be honest, I'm trying to think of what the best option would be. I'm kind of tempted to just hold out. Yeah, I think we're actually going to hold out maybe one more turn. I could do Echo Use, but I don't want to. So instead we'll just put out the Reinforce. This is what I call trying to obtain value versus situational awareness. I'm trying to get it so I can do Echoing Use with something that's going to give it health, but I don't really have anything to do that. Okay. So now I'm down to 18 health because of my stupidity. So what we're going to do instead... It's a tough call. But I think I have the answer. We're going to go ahead and use Consecrate to get rid of most of that. And we'll get rid of that right there. Now what I could do is I could put my Angry Chicken, but that'd probably be a bad idea. So I won't. But I have plenty of cards in hand. So I should be... Yeah, this isn't working out too well for me. Okay. I think what we'll do now is we'll try to play out this combo here. So now we got our Echoing Use out. Then we're also going to throw out the coin. Give it a nice buff. I'm even going to take out this 2/1. It's going to summon out another one of them. And because I have the Sword of Justice out, it's going to boost it up to a 6/4. So that's what we call value. But that value might have come too late. Because he might have enough to kill me. Or do just about enough to kill me right now. And we're going to find out. Yep, that hurt. Okay. So, this isn't actually the worst thing in the world. Here's what we're going to do. We are going to expend this right here. Then we're going to use Forbidden Healing. Give myself +10. And go ahead and start getting rid of his guys here. There we are. And he's being really cocky about it. Okay. But next turn, I can at least try to make some things happen here. There we go. So, I don't have a ton of choices. What I do have are options. Let's go ahead and put out Iron Chicken. That's going to get boosted up. Then we're going to buff him up. Looking good. What's that? Oh, sweet. That's a good one. Then we'll leave the Noble Sacrifice. And we'll see how he responds to that. So things... Alright. He's gonna try to get rid of that, obviously. Let's see how well he does. Ah, 10-10's kinda scary. We survived the first wave. But it will be... Man, having that 9-3 tone would have been kind of good. Oh well. Okay. So instead, what we're gonna do... We have 8 mana. We're gonna take a gamble. We're gonna throw out Echoing Use. Not Acolyte of Pain. We're gonna throw out Reinforce, then Enhance some Mechano. Oh, it's not good enough. It's not gonna have him. I was hoping they'd get a taunt. Alright. So he's gonna end me. And there may or may not have been anything that I could have done. His deck is really weird. I can't tell what he's trying to do with it. Okay. And there we go. And his name is Newbie. That's the best part. Okay. So, obviously all my decisions are not grade ones. That's why I never really rank up that high. So, that didn't exactly work out. I'd say about on average, depending on the game you play, you probably see about half your deck in an average game. Half your deck or less. If a game goes out really far, you might see closer to the whole thing. And if you ever do see the entirety of it, whew, you're in for the long haul, my friend. Very few games you see the entirety of the deck. Just because of how quickly things get out of hand. So, now we went through that. I don't really know what else I should be covering for said beginner's guide. I guess if you have any questions, what I can do is I can make a follow-up video answering the specifics of the questions. So, hopefully, this video was somewhat helpful. I do hope that it made your ability to watch a bit better as you try to understand what's going on. There are a lot of situations that can be kind of complex, and there's a lot of situations where I mess up. And there's also a lot of situations where I either just don't have what I need. There is just, bad luck. Hashtag never lucky, as they say. So, even Trump, as great as he is at the game, once again, not Donald, he always has a hard time winning tournaments. He usually gets pretty far, but I don't know how many tournaments he's actually won. He somehow gets snuffed out at the end, unfortunately. So, that is how that goes. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to thank you for checking this out. Hopefully, this was helpful, like I said, and I'll see you on the next one.